Hari Om. I'm very glad to welcome you all to this national webinar series on Yoga Ramayana Vishwa Kosha history. Blessed we are to have Acharya Ramachandraji Bhatt with us in this series to speak about Uttara Ramacharita.
वामी भूमिसुता पुरस्तु हनुमान् पश्चात् सुमित्रसुतः शत्रुघ्नो भरतश्च पार्श्वधरयोः वायुवादिकोणेषु च सुग्रीवश्च विभीषणश्च युवराट् तारासुतो जाम्बवान् मध्ये नील सरोजकोमलरुचिं रामं भजे श्यामलम् रामं भजे श्यामलम्. The second episode on Uttara Ramacharitam. Rama's achievements, contributions before coronation, Ramapattabhisheka took place. That is one part of this episode. And in the post-coronation period, Raja Rama as an emperor, succeeding that great lineage started from Kakurstha or Vayasvata Manu. How could he establish dharma while fulfilling his mission of rejuvenation of dharma and renaissance for yoga yaga oriented society? How could he face? Because when he was in exile, that is a different type of problems and challenges he faced. Now in this period, after coronation, Ramapattabhisheka, as an emperor, challenges, problems, they are in different form. That we have to keep in our mind. Then we can understand Uttarakanda well. One thing is very, very important, because in our Bharatiya Kavya Mimamsa, in the lineage of Kavya Mimamsa, any epic must end with a positive note, and it must be concluded with renaissance, upsurge, and establishment of dharma, so that it is very natural conclusion. If we stop, if Valmiki might have stopped his writing after this coronation is over, it is very naturally understandable to every Kavya Mimamsakas. That is what Bharatamuni told. In our Rasamimamsa, it must be Shringara and Virrasa. dominated epic, so that it must end with a positive note, so that we cannot go to any tragic end. It is very unnatural to Bharatiya Kavya Mimamsa, Indian way of historicity, Indian way of understanding of Kavya Dhara. That is why many people may argue that Ramayana is over. As an epic composed by Valmiki, the main purpose is over. Manishada pratishthantvam agama shashwati samaha yat krauncha mithunadekam avadhihi kama mohitam. That very shloka, in the form of cursing to that hunter, one who killed a she-bird on the bank of Tamasa river, that very incident inspired or ignited his wish to compose an epic or history, recorded history. Then he went on documenting Valmiki because he was contemporary of Rama. So whatever happened, that he composed. After having composed, he passed on that knowledge to Rama's sons only, Lava and Kosha. They went on singing those songs of Ramagatha, moving from the villages to village and popularizing Ramagatha. That is what we understand here in this Uttarakanda. As I just went on narrating that story of Ramarajya after establishing that Ramarajya, for 14 years there was no Rajakatva. Rajakatva, two words. Arajike Janapade, when there is no royal authority to rule the kingdom, what happens? That we know. Now also we know. Leaderless society, misled society, misguided society, that we come across. Day by day we come across. But Arajake Janapade, what will happen? That was elaborately narrated in Ayodhya Kanda. Vasishtha only goes on telling this one to Rama, just to impress him to come back to Ayodhya and take the responsibility of ruling that kingdom. Because Ayodhya is famous for Dharmarajya. That city, Ayodhya, no Yuddha, no internal squabbling, both internal and external fighting, infightings have no place in that city. That much harmony at psychic level, at physical level, at administrative level, all level it is maintained. That is why it is called Ayodhya, no Yuddha. But this Kishkinda, that very implied meaning of that word, it is very much congested. So mind is very much squeezed. When mind will be squeezed, when it becomes so much vulnerable to three doshas, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava, as projected by Krishna. Trividham Narakasyedan Dwaram Avratam, Kama Krodhas Tatha Lobha, lust, anger, greed. These three are the main basic instincts, negative. After that, there are many. Fear, pathos, jealousy, ego, all come. Basic negative instincts are three: kama, krodha, lobha. That was the dominating thing in Kishkinda and Sri Lanka, Lanka. That is why Lanka, Vali has created havoc. And it was no dharma-based ruling. That is what so after this establishment of dharma in Ayodhya, what are the steps taken by Rama? So in his kingdom, it was prahishta mudito lokaha. That is how it is described. They were happy, contented. All people were like that. Tushtaha and pushtaha, well nourished, well contented, and all were spiritually rooted. Sudharmikaha. Niramayaha, free from diseases. Arogascha, no mental problems, no physical problems. Durbhiksha bhaya varjita, no starvation, no natural calamities. That is how the whole kingdom was free from negativities. Well ruled and well maintained, well balanced society. That is sane society. That is what psychologists say. When there will be art of loving, it will be reflected in sane society. Art of loving, it was given up, and art of lust, art of consumption, art of consumerism, how to exploit natural wealth and how to extract happiness. This was the tendency of Vali, Sugriva, etc. in Kishkinda, and Ravana, Kumbhakarna, etc. in Lanka. That is how these tales of three cities, these are the basic things for understanding of three cities. In Ayodhya, this is the condition. It is told in 6 slokas. Naputra maranam kejit, untimely death was not there. Drikshanti purusha kvachit, nowhere. That is what now story goes. Some small infant dies, small child. Immediately Rama, when it came to his notice, takes Pushpaka Vimana and goes to Godavari, that Panchavati area. There someone was practicing this witchcraft, Vamachara, but he was not someone low caste, upper caste, nothing like that. But what he was doing, that is important. But some people, they misinterpret. Their mind is very much perturbed by this caste system. Varna, these ups and downs, untouchability, touchability, that they have superimposed here in Ramayana story. It is very bad. No, it is not authorized thing. That very much prejudiced, that is all. Only that he was Shudraka by name, and he was practicing witchcraft, Vamachara. So Rama went on searching and searching such people. He was, that is what scenario, he was swallowing smoke and standing upside down and doing his sadhana. That Vamachara, its impact was seen in Ayodhya, so that untimely death of a child happened. Immediately Rama responded, and just that case, very ordinary case now, because in our society these are very much accepted facts. So that our rulers or politicians, they have no sensitivity to all these things. ये तो चलता है हर दिन. That is what they feel. But Rama immediately responded and traveled. Then he came to know this happened. So that is why he took proper step and eliminated that fellow. That is what happened. Beautifully it was described by Bhavabhuti. He hasta dakshina mritasya shishor dvijasya जीवातमे विसृज शूद्रमुनौ कृपाणं रामस्य बाहुरसि निर्भर गर्भ खिन्न सीता विवासन पटो करुणा कुतस्ते. In Bhavabhuti Uttaram Charitamidam. So that he just talks to his sword. Why you are hesitating? Take proper step. You no place now. No, it is not for compassion. Because untimely death occurred due to his this type of negatively charged Vamachara, and immediately he took that step, and that child took rebirth, and it was very happy news there in Ayodhya. That is Ram. Sneham, Dayancha, Kirtincha, Idiva Janakim api Aradhanai Lokasya. Lokasya Aradhanartham, just for honoring, worshipping his people and to fulfill their desires, to keep them contented, all his subjects in Ayodhya or in his whole kingdom, that is there, he has taken that type of step. So that Ayodhya was the capital city. There it is not only capital city but whole kingdom. That kingdom he protected. That is what happened. So now there what was the social scenario? So that no putra maranam and naryashcha avidhava. Another. Ladies were not widows. Every time they were accompanied with their husband, and they also, male also, very much accompanied with their consorts, wives. That was the scenario. And pativrataha, very much loyal to their husbands. That is how that purity of character in the male and female relationship well maintained in his kingdom. That is what narrated here. So pativrataha. Then nachagnijam bhayam kinchin napsu majjanti jantava. And no fire calamities, fire related or water related or panchabhuta related problems were not there. That means well ruled, and security arrangement was well maintained, and even intelligence, that was also well taken care of. So anywhere if something goes wrong, immediately steps taken, remedial steps were taken. That is why no calamities, no accidents. That is what maintained. Even air, fire, water related calamities were not there. And no jwara, no fevers. Now you know many types of fevers, one after one, dengue, this and that. But no jwara, no fever. Nachapi kshudbhayam tatra na taskar bhayam. And no starvation, deaths. That is what all houses, whatever amenities they were needed, that is supplied. That is how that part, health part, need part, everything is attended. So that no starvation, and then no robbers to steal, no robbery, so that people were free. That is what many Chinese travelers also highlighted this point in their books, Huyen Song and many in India. Even in this age, the last millennium, when they came, it in many areas in Magadha and Kuru Panchala they visited. No doors to any house. Every house kept open. So people were free. न चापि क्षुद्भयं तत्र न तस्करभयं नगराणि च राष्ट्राणि धनधान्ययुतानि. Cities and Rashtra means sampadbharitam sthanam. It is Rashtra, that word, etymologically speaking, where you have sufficient wealth for maintenance. And land is so fertile, natural balance that is maintained, that type of area is called Rashtra. Iyam aham Rashtri Sangamani Vasunam Chikitushi Prathama Yajnayana, where all the Yajnayagas are performed, so that whole atmosphere was free from contamination, radiation and pollution, so that no question of any Mahamari, pandemic or something, many type of diseases and fevers. That type of condition, hygiene, health, harmony, happiness, all are maintained. Dhanadhanya yutani, and people were having sufficient money in their accounts, and dhanyam, grain and everything they were sufficiently doing. They were cultivating. People were work-oriented people. So agriculture and Bhagwani, all were inbuilt systems. Everyone was doing. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijyam, it was that dharma, it is followed. Dharma it is called. So that growing good, healthy, hygienic and such vegetables, fruits, flowers, everything. Nityam pramuditaha sarve yatha krita yuge tatha. Every time they were happy, however. It was like Krita Yuga. Krita Yuga is very well portrayed in Puranas. Tapaha. Kayena, Vacha, Manasa. Tapaha was the main dominating thing there. So people were doing Kayena, Vacha, Manasa. Manaprasadaha, Saumyatvam, Maunam, Atmavinigraha, Bhava Samshuddhi, emotional purity. That is Manasa Tapa. Deva, Dvija, Guru, Prajna, Pujanam, Shaucham, Arjavam, Brahmacharyam, Ahimsa, Shariram. Maintaining control, self-control, and offering puja to all gods and all respected spiritual masters well looked after, and education is properly taken care of, purity, internal and outer external sanctity maintained, shaucham, and people were straightforward, and celibacy well maintained, self-control, and non-violence, it is well practiced. Anudvega karam vakyam, people were not unnecessarily hurting. Satyam, truthful. Priyam, not hurting. Hitam, good for their welfare, helping welfare. Satyam Priya Hitam Chayat. And self-study, Svadhyaya, and Guru Upasadhana, they are going to great gurus for their study, enrichment of knowledge. That is, all these three tapas were very dominating dharma practices in Krita Yuga. Here, Valmiki says that as it was in Krita Yuga, like that in this Treta Yuga also, these three types of penance were practiced. These things we must understand. So, considering that man is a basic sinner, or man is slave of his own desires, that is generalizing it. To fall down is man. To go for unnatural lust and sex, it is man. And go for unhygienic practices, that is man. That is how many psychologists, they have generalized all these things. But our thinking is every saint has past, every sinner will have future. That is our norm. Even though he might have committed something, he will correct and he will be divine. That is why even devil, satanic forces also have scopes to become great. Just like Valmiki, just like Vyasa coming from that fisherman's family. All were great spiritual masters. That is the greatness of this country. We have that. That is why everyone is essentially divine, not essentially sinner. That is a fundamental difference between Paschatya and Purvatya thinking, wavelength, mindset. So with this basic understanding, you write some novels, write some story, and because you have your own alankara, your own kalpana, rasa, that is why this self-declared freedom for poets, novelists, it is there. Niyatikata niyama rahita. Even Supreme God cannot control them. That much freedom given to all poets, all great poets. So when ordinary poets are given so much free hand, what to say about Valmiki and Vyasa? That is why, okay. So that later on many Ramayanas came. In some Ramayana, Rama practicing non-violence, he never kills Ravana. Lakshmana kills Ravana. And even Shurpanakhi becomes Chandranakhi. All these Ramayanas also written by many great poets. That also we respect. And so many other Ramayanas in Kamba Ramayana, and so many things they have changed. Poets have that great freedom. That freedom we cannot question. Should not question. But they must have that welfare, idea of welfare. If they unnecessarily highlight all negativities, their novels, their poetries, their poems, they will be misleading to the growing teenagers, growing tender-hearted people. So that falsifying truth is not at all permitted. So any poet or any great thinker, any rationalist, any scientific thinker, any novelist have this right to disturb the social harmony. This pathya must be followed. That was not followed in the Sutra Kanda. That is why many poets, novelists, they have crossed all limits and went on blaming Sri Ramachandra, and just to claim that that they are supporters of human cause, they are the real stakeholders of welfare of women folk. And many of them simply went on maligning Rama's character, blaming him. This is not permitted. In the name of psychological study, in the name of sociological study, You cannot you malign the whole intention of the great poet like Valmiki. Because in this pre coronation period, Rama's personality was kept so pure. So even Sita Devi, he objected, but she was tested symbolically. That means many great scholars might have come together and studied how she was there for 10 or 12, 11 months there in Ravana's area, that Ashokavana. And how could she maintain that purity? Trinamantarata Kritva, and all these are there in that area. That is why no so-called rationalist, so-called novelist, so-called free thinker, they have no right to make it adverse. So whatever you go for writing Ramayana pertaining to Uttarakanda, it must not be injustice to the previous part composed by Valmiki. So Rama's study in Siddhashrama and Rama's Vivaha in Janaka's dynasty, then his approach, his relationship with the subject, and what steps he has taken when his own stepmother became angry or opposed to his interest. That also how he took it in a balanced way. A series of good deeds, very balanced approach throughout until that coronation takes place. It is every activity. Kayena, Vacha, Manasa, whatever activities he has conducted, Rama conducted in all throughout all khandas, even while dealing with friendship with Sugriva and killing Vali, everywhere many questions are there. But in that type of dynamic condition also, he stood that firm in Dharma Marga. There you cannot question, but abruptly that type of Rama is so weak and takes some anti-religion, anti-spiritual practice decisions. He was so inhuman and sent pregnant wife to forest, and these type of misrepresenting of Rama's character is not at all approved, not sanctified by the scriptural source. That is why with that much discipline only we have to proceed here. So Rama Rajya concept must be taken. As soon as the coronation is over, this type of kingdom he established. Even from very previous regime also, the same thing it was. Even staying in Nandigrama also, Bharata was very much careful while maintaining that harmony in the society, ruling their kingdom. But Rama made it still more improved, value added. That is all. So that Nityam Pramoditaha Sarve Yatha Kritayuge Tatha Ashwamedha Shatayirištva Tatha Bahusuvarnakaihi Gavam Kotivirum Dattva Vidvadbhyo Vidhipurvakam. All these things are there. He performed Yajna Yaga and that Go Sampat, Indian cow, Swadeshi cow breed. It is good, very good, because that is the wealth. Wealth for society, wealth for house, wealth for children, wealth for all. Irrespective of their age, caste, creed, positions, everywhere it was go. Godhana, Gajadhana, Vajidhana, Ratanadhana, all dhana. Wealth, it was sufficient. So Gavam, so that it was Go Sampat for exchange every time. and and all spiritual masters, they are highly duly respected. Hmm? And all these Chaturvarnya people with their strength, they were duly respected. No scientists, poets were taken to any concentration camp, and intellectual people not forcibly taken for labor, this one, because all people, those who are scientific people, spiritual practitioners, they must have that place in the society. That is brain oriented people they are, so that we must give ample opportunity for enhancing their brain power. Shamo, Damaha, Tapaha, Shaucham, Kshanti, Arjavam, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam. These are all brain centered personalities, merits: self control, internal, external discipline, purity, peacefulness, straightforwardness, Jnanam, Vijnanam, scientific knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and Astikyam, pious tendency, Bhagavad Bhakti. These are all that one. And again, Shaujam, Tejaha, Dhritihi, Raksham, Yuddhe Chapi Apalayanam, Dhanam, Ishvara Bhava. Ruling capacity and opposing evil forces, eliminating asuric forces, antisocial elements, and courage, valor, and proactive tendency. And that was the tendency of people with Bahubala, shoulder strength. And those who want to spread trade and commerce, exchange of crops, exchange of wealth, they have to travel from one kingdom to another kingdom. For that, there must be strength in their leg, in their lap. That is what Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijya, farming and protection of cow, trade and of commerce, they were doing. And another one, those who cannot perform independently, these three types of dharma, Brahma dharma, Kshatra dharma, and Vaishya dharma, they have their own dharma, that is Paricharya Seva. It is one of the dharma. It is not something classification based on birth and all these things. Chaturvarna means that is the real meaning. Varna it is, nature, tendency it is, not something based on parental lineage and this and that. That is how it is to be properly understood by so-called rationalists. Deliberately they have misinterpreted all these things. This misled to many people, so that negativity is spreading in the society now. So Ramayana gives that message. We must go for harmony. Chaturvarnyam. Lokes means Svesve Dharme Niyokshit. Depending upon their aptitudes, depending upon their capacities, depending upon their interest and likings, they choose. And elders, Gramavruddhas, they will be guiding them, so that depending upon their interest, they were sent to such Gurukulas. There were Graha Gurukulas, Kala Gurukulas, Shastra Gurukula, Veda Gurukulas, they were there. So that those who are good in skills and vocationalization, they were choosing that, and they are going to that type of Gurukula and developed all 64 kalas. Pot making, all type of skills. And good in agriculture and trade and commerce, they were sent to that type of Gurukulas. And those who were very strong, so that can join army, training imparted to them depending upon their interest, so that all austerity and all such things they have undergone. Shastra Vidya. And Shastra Vidya for those some people who are intelligent, highly creative people, innovative people, so they went to such gurukulas. That is the balance of that age, they have maintained it. Depending upon Ramarajya, well established with all these qualities, do's and don'ts, all disciplines. That is what Rama started his ruling. Very, very important point in this Uttarakanda. वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षाद् रामायणात्मना साक्षात् रामायणात्मना.
Thank you, sir. We are very grateful to have heard about Uttara Ramacharita. We'll meet again tomorrow. Namaste.